So Narada Muni, yeah, I did it, yay. Narada Muni went to Kusum Sarovar, took his bath in Kusum Sarovar and transformed into Naradiya Gopi, right? And that was of course very nice. And in that way Narada could enter into the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis. When Krishna saw Naradiya, he said, "Oh, my dear Narada." So it didn't quite work. Dear Narada, how nice. Nice that you're here and that you are here to experience the pastimes of bhakti. So I have a request, and that you'll write a book about the nature of bhakti, or that bhakti that you're absorbing here. And that became the Narada Bhakti Sutra, right? So in this way, that Narada Bhakti Sutra, Srila Prabhupada began the translation of the Narada Bhakti Sutra, didn't finish it, just one of those unfinished books that stay around, and it was Satsarup Maharaj then who finished it later. So I just quickly downloaded that. That was that was playing with the phone. So that we can, because I didn't prepare for today, because I was all a string and a string and a string. Yeah? so I didn't bring my Narada Bhakti Sutra. But fortunately, there was a reception here, so everything is under control. So we'll read a little bit from the Narada Bhakti Sutra. Skip the introduction. Get to the first verse. Hold it horizontal so I can read. So a sutra is a very short, form of text, not a long verse. So atatu bhaktim vakyaya maha. Now therefore I will explain the process of devotional service. I think you are familiar with the Vedanta Sutra, at least a little bit, and you know possibly that the Vedanta Sutra begins with Atata Brahma Jigyasa. Atata Brahma Jigyasa. Now therefore let me inquire into the absolute truth. Right? Atata, now that we have attained the human form of life, that is what this now means. Now that we have attained the human form of life, therefore let me inquire into the absolute truth. So then here, so we can see that that Narada has taken inspiration from the Vedanta Sutra and also starts with Atato. Now therefore, Atato Bhaktim Vyakya Yasyamaha. Now therefore, let us try to explain the process of devotional service of bhakti. Second sutra. Satvasmin parama prema rupa. Devotional service manifest as the most elevated, pure love for God. Yes, of course. We find in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a verse which says that Srada Ratir Bhaktir Anukramisyati. It said from faith to bhava and then to prem. Step by step we're coming from initial faith, then rati, and then bhaktir. Srada Ratir Bhaktir Anukramisyati. So it says first you have your faith, then you get your bhav, and after that you get your bhakti. So there is a very high definition of bhakti, and that real bhakti actually means love for Krishna. Therefore, in one sense, bhakti is synonymous with Krishna, with prem, with love for Krishna. And in one sense, bhakti, in a more liberal definition, which was everything is counted as bhakti, which is somehow or other related to Krishna. No? So in the liberal definition, as long as I even think of Krishna while I'm swallowing this this lozenge for throat, it is actually auspicious because it's Krishna prasadam. When it's connected with Krishna, it all becomes prasadam. Once Guru Das was on the traveling with Srila Prabhupada in Delhi, and Prabhupada was hungry, and Prabhupada wanted some samosas. Now, you know, in those days, obviously, and still today, definitely vegetarian, so yes, some samosas. Buy some samosas. So he bought the samosas, and then he went fully on his knees, flat, full obeisances, and he had the samosas in front of him, and was just sitting there on the railway platform. So Prabhupada said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm offering them, Srila Prabhupada." And Prabhupada said, "What are you doing?" He said, "When we're traveling, just to know that it comes from Krishna is enough." So that was very liberal, right? That was a very liberal approach to bhakti. You know. So we have different approaches to bhakti amongst our acharyas. On the Bhagavad-gita, we have two main commentaries in our Vaishnava Sampradaya. One is from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and the other one is from Baladev Vijayabhusa. The commentary from Vishwanath is the strict commentary. Therefore, Vishwanath will not easily grant us that we are practicing bhakti. Right? He said, yes, bhakti, but karma misra, mixed with personal desire, mixed with karma. Jnana misra, mixed with desire for liberation. It's all misra, 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 whereas everything is mixed bhakti, not real bhakti, because it's mixed. But Baladev, everything is bhakti. The slightest little connection with Krishna, and it's bhakti. So in this way, liberal definitions and strict definitions are there. And we are in this, in the Bhagavatam, finding that bhakti is actually, comes after ratir. Sada ratir bhaktir anukramishyati means bhakti comes after rati. And rati means actually bhava, means ecstasy. Means deep attachment to Krishna. So, therefore, after bhav comes prem. So then bhakti is synonymous with prem. So, but then again, we can also see that Isvara tadadenisu Bali says dvisat chacha prema maiti kripapeksha yakaroti samadhi. Isvara, it says for Isvara there is prem. For the tadadenisu, maitri, friendship. Isvara tadadenisu Bali says, and for the ignorant, innocent ones, there is kripa and compassion, and finally for the envious, we ignore them. So in this way, a madhyam adhikari for Isvara also has prem, but it is not the mature prem, it is not the matured love, but it is prem in an earlier stage. Mango is mango, even when it's not completely ripe, it's still a mango. So like that, unripe love for Krishna, but it still counts as love, and Prabhupada is liberally counting it as love. So like this we are appreciating how the Vaishnavas look upon love. Sometimes very strict definitions, very liberal definitions. And that is, it depends. It depends in which direction we're looking. When we're looking in the direction of Krishna, then we are very strict. Radharani says, the very fact that I did not die when Krishna left Vrindavan, it shows that I have no love at all. Now she's looking in the direction of Krishna. She looks very strictly. But when we look in the direction of conditioned souls, then we get very liberal. Then we have liberal definitions. Yes. Yes, you just... oh yes, my dear Shrutakirti. Yes. You're massaging me now, and you're saying that you have no love, because all the devotees were crying so much on the airport when Prabhupada arrived, and not Shrutakirti. And Shrutakirti was massaging. And he told to Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, I don't have any love for you. And Prabhupada didn't reply. But the next day when Shrutakirti massaged again, Prabhupada replied and said, this is also love. This is also love. He said, yeah, is this love? You know what I mean? Now when we apply the strict definition of praying, say, how is this love? You know, there is only lust and love. So how can you speak about love? This is not pure. This is not unalloyed. Not even tears was he showing. Right? Heart of stone. No, it is also love. So sometimes we see, it depends in which direction the Acharya is looking. When he looks in the direction of Krishna, very strict definition. When he looks in the direction of the conditioned souls and seeing how they are connecting with Krishna. Then in the root cause it's love. It's love in the root, love in the seed form, love basically beginning to sprout, love beginning to develop. So like this, we're standing bhakti. Uh-oh, something happened. Okay, here it is. Sorry. More free downloads. I don't want more downloads. We go to number 3. Anyone who's not comfortable in the sun, just go in the shade. Amrita Swarup Cha. That is the first one. So you can see how these are really sutras. Very, very short. Amrita Swarup Cha. That's it. That's only like 3 words. Amrita means immortality. Swarup means, okay, here it is translated as having as its essence, Cha, end. This pure love of God, love for God, is eternal. Oh gosh. Where a person attains to the perfectional stage of love of God, he becomes liberated even in his present body and realizes his constitutional position of immortality in the Bhagavad-gita, etc. Okay, then it carries on. It's too small to read everything. Rather, we'll just meditate. So whatever little spark of love may be found, that little spark is eternal, and it will burn like a fire. And that is it basically. The fire of prem has to burn in our hearts. We cannot just continue to mechanically chant our rounds, to mechanically serve. We have to get some appreciation for Krishna. At least begin there. Something like, I hope that you like this Parikrama so far. It's not that I am the most learned about every corner in Vrindavan. I guess you already found out. But that's also not the essence, huh? Because what we're trying to do is trying to awaken some love of God in our hearts. So that comes by some appreciation. At least one has to begin to appreciate a little bit, something about Krishna. So in these places we're appreciating something about Krishna, and see how Narada Muni is by his consciousness a resident of Vaikuntha, who worships Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Narada Muni is particularly a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is one of the mental sons of Lord Brahma, who is pure and transcendental. His body is spiritual. So actually he's a resident of the spiritual world. And as a resident of the spiritual world, wherever he goes, he takes the spiritual world with him, and he takes so many personalities into the spiritual realm. Narada Muni acts like a spiritual master. He is the personification of the spiritual master, because he is 100% transcendental. There's no question of any fault in Narada. Anything that Narada does, it's an act of mercy. Even if he makes politics, which he sometimes does, like when he went to Kamsa, and Kamsa had just agreed with Vasudeva that, well, my dear Vasudeva, thank you so much for presenting me this child as you promised. This is only the first child. I don't really need this child. You take it back, no problem. Then Narada comes and says, yes, it's the 8th child that will kill. But my dear Kamsa. And Kamsa says, oh, Narada has come. So these demigods, they are difficult. They are troublemakers. But Narada is different. Narada is different. He's my friend, actually. And he gives me good advice. So Narada said to him, he said, listen, O Kamsa, it says the 8th son will kill you. But who's the 8th? It depends how you count. And where you begin to count. So, if we begin to count in a different way, then the first one could become the 8th. In this way, Narada actually arranged that all these children of Vasudeva and Devaki were being killed. I mean, they were about to be saved. And it was Narada who interfered and got them killed. So, is this the way of a spiritual master? Now I'd like to ask that question. Have any children? None. None at all. Hide your children. Spiritual master is coming. Hide them. Is this the way that gurus act? So that's bewildering. But Narada, he was also thinking, let's speed up the whole pastime. Let Krishna appear quickly. So when these other children are disposed of, then Krishna will come quickly, and then he'll surely kill Kamsa. Otherwise he might hesitate to kill Kamsa, because Kamsa is his relative, his uncle. And it says you don't kill your uncle. It's sort of something you don't do. I mean, mostly. Sometimes you want to kill your uncle. Especially him. But we're supposed not to kill uncles. So even when Krishna killed Kamsa, there's different reports on the story, and Jiva Goswami explains that actually it's politics to say that Krishna wanted to kill Kamsa. He didn't. The real thing that is going on is Krishna wanted to knock off Kamsa's crown from his head. But then Kamsa lost his balance and fell off the stage, and then he died. See, that's what really happened. So he had never any intention to kill him at all. Yeah? So some say like this. There's different stories, of course. Then he sort of beat up the dead body, you know, just to show. But that is in itself, you know, nothing wrong with that. That you can do. Anyhow, so Narada simply was not only trying to speed up the appearance of Krishna and the pastimes of Krishna, and to not only make sure that Krishna would actually kill Kamsa, Narada was trying to do more. Narada was also looking at it from a much bigger perspective, because Narada is Trikalagya. He knows past, present and future. Therefore Narada knew very well who these sons were, and that they were previously, in a previous birth, these same souls were the sons of Kalanemi, who was a demon, and Kamsa in his previous life was Kalanemi. And therefore Kamsa was in a way killing his own children, killing his own sons. Anyway, so we're speaking not about Kamsa, we're speaking about Narada Muni. So Narada Muni is, as a spiritual master, writing these Bhakti Sutras. He's trying to teach what Bhakti really is. And basically he's establishing Anyabilasita Sunyam. He's establishing the same conclusion of Rupa Goswami, that no other desires, no desire for enjoyment of the senses, not for liberation, simply unalloyed, pure devotional service. The next sutra is Yat prapya na kinchit vanchati, na sochati, na dristi, na ramate, nutsahi bhavam. A person engaged in such pure devotional service neither desires anything for sense gratification, nor laments for any loss, nor hates anything, nor enjoys anything on his personal account, nor becomes very enthusiastic in material activity. So here Narada is basically teaching Sambandha. He's teaching Sambandha. There's Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana. In Sambandha we're making connection. So in Sambandha we are looking at the goal. We're looking at, like, where are we going actually? What is Bhakti actually? He creates the focus. Zoom lens and a really clear focus. Whereas in Abhideya we'll get information about how to get purified and so on. But in these verses he's still defining Bhakti, still sort of showing where Bhakti really is to be found. So it is Sambandha Gyan that is being given here. Prayojana Gyan is when we speak about Narada becoming Naradiya Gopi and entering into the pastimes of Krishna and his Gopi associates, or the other personalities in Vrindavan. Such Vraja Bhakti, which we find in 5 rasas, that may be displayed by the residents of Vrindavan, which is pure unadulterated love. So the same thing Narada is describing now, but he has not entered into that. Narada, you might think that if Narada took inspiration in Kusum Saravar and then comes here to write, that he would write something about Ras Leela. But that is Prayojana Tattva. And he actually entered into the Sambandha Tattva. Maybe let's look what else the book has to offer. Will it come later? I don't think I can read all the sutras here today. So maybe you'll have to read some sutras at home. You can also download it. Narada Bhakti Sutra, PDF, and just, there it is. And you can also read it. Oh yes, you can. You can even read the purports. And why wouldn't you? It's a book that Srila Prabhupada started to translate. So it's not just nothing. It's something. Maybe we should read it. Why not? Huh? I think it's a good idea. Yat yatra mattu bhavati stabdu bhavati atmarama bhavati. Sorry. One who understands perfectly the process of devotional service and love of Godhead becomes intoxicated in its discharge. Sometimes he becomes stunned in ecstasy and thus enjoys his whole self being engaged in the service of the Supreme Self. So now we're beginning to speak about getting stunned, we're beginning to speak about the exalted symptoms of ecstasy. So does this mean we have now gone to Prayojana Tattva? No, we're still in Sambandha Tattva. We're still looking at the goal. We're still looking at where are we going? What is this pure devotional service? Which is a Sambandha question. We're trying to really get there, to that we get. So we're still qualifying bhakti, what it actually is in these verses. Later on, yes, we can go to a more intimate descriptions of bhakti. Later on means when we are qualified. Sanakamayamanam nirodha rupatvat. There is no question of lust in the execution of pure devotional service, because in it all material activities are renounced. What was that? Okay. Yeah. So no question of lust. So defining bhakti, but very important actually to define it that way. Oh, see, no place for any lust, and whatever the gopis are experiencing, it's that the gopis. How does it start? I can't remember the verse now. Gopya kamat bhayat kamso dvesas chedanayani pa naham vishasam vishnaya sambandhat yuyam bhaktavayam vibhu. It is said Gopya kamat, the gopis by their lusty desires, bhayat kamsa by his fear, the Vrishnis by their family relationships, and the ordinary devotees by hard work in devotional service are all obtaining the mercy of Krishna. So the gopis, Gopya kamat, by their lusty desires. But these are not lusty desires. They look like lusty desires, but they are not lusty desires, because the difference between lust and love is Atmendriya Pritivan Sutara Bolikam, Krishnendriya Priti Ichadara Premanam. Satisfying our own senses is lust, and satisfying the senses of Krishna, that is prema. So let us satisfy the senses of Krishna somehow or another, if we can. So that's why let this parikrama be a way to satisfy the senses of Krishna. So one can bring some fruit and offer it on the altar to the deities where we go. It's possible. One can bring flowers. One can bring a garland for the deities. Right? Such things are common in pilgrims in India. Very common. Well, never go. My mother had this thing. You never go out of the room empty-handed. You know. I hated that. When there's a cup or something, bring it to the kitchen. Or there's anything. Never go out of the room empty-handed. You know. Okay. Yeah. But one can say the same thing. Never go in the temple empty-handed. Huh? I'll tell my mother when I see her. It's my turn now. That's what happens when the kids grow up. They educate the parents. That's how it works. Oh. No. Yeah, so. And even disciples, as they grow up, they may also offer some thoughts to the spiritual master. You know, they may offer some ideas to the spiritual master, not just like, okay, now you have to sit for the rest of your life and just be submissive completely and just say yes, yes Guru Maharaj, yes Guru Maharaj, yes Guru Maharaj, yes, 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 yes. And then you have a bunch of yes men and yes women. But that's not what we need intelligence also. So it is possible to say, but Guru Maharaj, it says over there that, so sometimes we can assist. The question came, can the Guru make mistakes? Prabhupada was walking on the beach, Pacific Ocean, all these little crabs coming out of the ocean. Prabhupada said, look, a scorpion. Everyone saw it was a crab. Everyone. Ooh. Ooh. We thought he was perfect. And now we caught him. So this thing was sort of like dawning upon the devotees. Yeah? That it says in scriptures that the sayings of the pure devotee, of the spiritual master are without any imperfections, but now they caught him. So what to do? And so finally they asked him. Finally they mustered up the courage to ask him. So they asked him, is it that the pure devotee can sometimes make mistakes? We sometimes see that he apparently makes mistakes. And Prabhupada said, those things, they are material. They are material. So, that's not a mistake, that's just material. He said, but about Krishna, about spiritual subject matter, no mistake. But we see so many times, and we hear Prabhupada quote a verse from the Gita, and we hear he quotes the wrong word. I heard it many times. It's the wrong word. I know that slok. Yes, and we can show you from the book, the wrong word. Yes, that is there. And that's totally unimportant. Unimportant. That's not the essence. But in terms of Siddhanta, no, there we cannot question. There we cannot. And of course we may ask. We may ask about it, but it seems, we don't have to just, but ultimately he has the last word. That should be there. We should give him the last word. In this way, in a mature guru-disciple relationship also, there can be exchange, and the disciple can actually offer knowledge or we are not computers, right? We may not know everything about the scripture. When Vyasadeva appears, in one of the first thing he does is he divides the Vedas. At the beginning of Kali Yuga, he divides the Vedas because there's no one who has the capacity to actually capture all the Vedas. So in the Kali Yuga, people begin to specialize. Different sages specialize in a branch of Vedic knowledge. So, yeah, we all may faithfully study Prabhupada's books for many years. And then one day, someone brings a quote from another book. Also bona fide book. They haven't read it. Right? And then that quote seems to be contradictory. Oh, now what? Now everything is on loose screws. Oh my God. This is no big deal. Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. Like, for example, we see that some of the acharyas were pointing out that that there's no dissolution at the end of each yuga, and then Vishwanath and Jiva Goswami established that there is. So some differences occur on detail between acharyas, and it's so insignificant. But the curious mind likes it very much. Something new. Oh, something I never heard. Oh, what is this? What is this new thing I have never heard? Oh, very interesting. Curiosity. Yes. Like, I have my analogy. There is the daylight of knowledge, there is the twilight of knowledge, and there is the night of knowledge. In the daylight of knowledge is very clear knowledge. No one debates about it. Everyone agrees. Twilight zone of knowledge is where we don't have a lot of information. We just have a quote here, a quote there, and therefore there is some room for trying to figure it out. What is actually being said here? So this is not mental speculation, this is philosophical speculation. When we have limited knowledge and we try to understand something, right, that is allowed. Mental speculation is when we just try to figure out, well, what is the truth? Maybe the truth is a purple man with 3 noses and 6 toes and 7 heads, right? No, that's total mental speculation. But that's imagination. But trying to understand the scripture is philosophical speculation, when we don't have much information. So we should not spend all our time with twilight knowledge, with the obscure. And we spend our whole life, the whole spiritual life, collecting all the obscure information, the vague stuff, and then see if we can spend the borders. But actually, this may not help us to deepen our faith. It may actually put our faith in a sort of uncertain situation when we go all the time for controversy. Collecting all the controversies, a whole book full of controversy, that in the end one's whole concept of one's whole mind is filled with controversy, and in the end we're insecure. And it's not required, because if we just simply take shelter of serving, everything will be fine. Even like a hot potato, like the jiva issue. I mean, who cares? We see that Prabhupada didn't like to answer the question, didn't like to spend his time with it. Prabhupada says, we don't need to worry so much about where we came from, we should worry how to get out of here. So, what does that mean? It means that we should just focus on devotional service, simply, and on pleasing the senses of Krishna. And then the issues on tattva, especially the twilight zone of knowledge. Alright, if it's not clear now, it will be clear in due course of time. It will be revealed from within the heart. So how much wrangling do we need based on scripture? Huh? Have a book in this hand, have a book in that hand, and beat each other with books. Yes. Are you ready? Have you heard of pillow fight? That's nothing. You know about book fight? Oh yes, much more fun. Have a book. Oh, haha. Well, I've got one for you too. So, a big heavy book, that should fix him. Krishna consciousness is so simple, Prabhupada said, you might just miss it. And that is something in this Narada Bhakti Sutra. It's quite simple, actually. It's very straightforward, very simple, non-obscure, very clear message. I'm not going on reading every sutra because we are getting roasted and toasted. But Narada Bhakti Sutra is a book to read, a book to have. You can buy it here in the book table, or if you don't want to buy it, you can download it for free on internet. Narada Bhakti Sutra PDF. And read. And in this way, we can see how bhakti is very strong in Narada Muni. It is very important. The Narada Bhakti Sutra is not only important in the sense that we should read it, but the Narada Bhakti Sutra is also important that we can show Narada is ours. Everyone likes to claim Narada. Oh yes, every Mayavadi, Narada, yes, he's ours, yes. We claim him, everybody claims Narada, right? But when we have the Narada Bhakti Sutras, then we can show, right? This is why Narada is ours. He is a Vaishnava. He is completely, he's not worshipping Narayan like an impersonalist is worshipping. Yes, he chants the name of Narayan, 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 Narayan. But does he chant it like an impersonalist? So many impersonalists may also chant the name of Narayan. No. He is chanting it in the spirit of bhakti, because he has established exactly the Narada Bhakti Sutra. And of course there's a lot more evidence that Narada is a Vaishnava, but it's nice to have it all in one sutra, right? Clearly, short, to the point. There it is, sutra, short and short sayings, to the point. Here it is, the evidence. Narada is a Vaishnava. Any further discussion? See you later. You know? Just refute this, please. You know? So therefore, this place is of significance to us. Now, I don't know if Bhaktivatsala came back. He did. Tell us something. Huh?
We're going by buses.
Very good. Okay. So then, there was a bathroom somewhere. Bhaktivatsala also knows that. So anyone who needs to have a little stop will take some time, and he will arrange that everyone will be guided in the right direction. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Narada Muni ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.